Everybody, thanks for listening. I'm Jenny. I'm a life coach, and today I'm talking about goal setting for INFJs and empaths. And the problem with normal goals is that they don't factor in the scope of control. They don't factor in all the things that we cannot control in terms of reaching our goals. The world acts like if you just work hard enough, you'll achieve your goal. If you just take all the right steps, you'll achieve your goal. And that is not true. You only have control over half of the outcome. The universe has control over the other half. You don't have control over all the factors at play ever in life. And the problem with goals is that it puts all of the ownership on us and none of the ownership over uncontrollable factors. So, um, so scope of control is really important to recognize when we're thinking about goals. Um, so the secret lie about goal setting is that you do not have full control over the outcome. It's okay to aim for your ideal, but also have a backup plan that you already know is achievable. Your ideal requires luck and your backup plan doesn't. So maybe your ideal is writing a best-selling book. Guess what? You do not have full control over that. All you have control over is showing up to write until your book is done. That is the only thing that you have control over. So that's what I mean by backup plan. You're at least going to sit in this chair and you're going to write and you're going to work towards having a book. But you can't make your book be a bestseller. You can't force it to be a bestseller. That part is up to the universe. Yes, there's things you can do to help, there's things you can do to market, but you still don't have full control over the outcome. You also don't have any idea how long something will take, especially a creative project. So putting deadlines on our goals can sometimes sabotage us unless we make an agreement with ourselves that whatever we can do by this deadline is going to be good enough. And that requires letting go of our perfectionism. Um, so so it's important to just focus on keep improving your position, right? And don't worry about the end goal, worry about the next increment, worry about incrementally improving your position. Just take the next best step, do the next best thing, because nothing will ever be ideal. Focus on principles over rules. um, we as empaths, intuitives, we struggle with the physical realm. We struggle with concrete reality. Things like following a budget, right? That's a concrete reality task where the numbers have to be exact. And we do better with concepts more than rules. If we create too much, too many rules to follow, if we're too strict, if we make too many rules for ourselves in the physical realm, we will struggle a lot more with goals than if we focus on concepts. A concept could be, I'm just going to spend less money this month than I spent last month. Or I'm going to look for everything I buy used before I buy it new. That's a concept, right? Versus I only have $200 to spend on groceries today. That's more of a rule. So it can help to focus on concepts, or else one of your little inner rebels, one of your inner personality fragments or rebels is going to rebel against that, is going to feel too constricted. The harder I try to follow rules, the worse I actually do. So again, this isn't about what should work, it's about what does work for you specifically, for your specific system. School taught us that we have to be perfect on a timeline. We have to be both of these things. We have these assignments that are due by a very specific day and we have to get an A on them, right? Or we should get an A on them. So we have to be perfect and get an A on an exact timeline by an exact date. It's not very realistic to do both of those things. It's more realistic to choose between doing something perfectly or doing something by a deadline and having it just be good enough. It's a lot more helpful to choose between one or the other instead of trying to do both. So think about with your projects which projects are time important and which projects are quality important. Which projects are more important to finish by a deadline and which projects are more important to do really well. And how long it lasts, how long your project lives, the lifespan of your project matters more than how long it takes. So, for example, um, a book is immortal potentially. It lasts forever potentially. And so taking a long time on a book is a lot more valid than taking a long time on a social media caption and trying to make the social media caption perfect. Um, so decide, what is a short term, what has a short term lifespan and what has a long term lifespan. um, Decide, what is a deep time task, what are tasks where you need to be able to go into a flow state, and those tasks need to be given just as much time as they need to unfold, without a specific deadline assigned to it. Okay. um, so as a perfectionist in recovery, I can assure you that being imperfect is a lot more fun. And when you take the pressure off of yourself from being perfect, now you can be good. You're more likely to be really good if you stop trying to be perfect. So change and reaching your goals isn't practical. It's all about shifting the energy. Um, Achieving your goals is all about energy shifts. And humans are also notorious for miswanting. We don't know what will make us happy. We think we know, and that becomes the goal. But sometimes the reality of having the thing that we thought we wanted isn't as great as we envisioned it to be. So give yourself to just try all the foods and then decide what you like after you start working on it or after you start trying it, right? You might not want what you think you do, but we kind of have to be in the sandbox, experiencing something, playing with it. We're not really good at predicting if we're going to like the reality of something until we're already getting our feet wet. So try lots of things, feel the energy, be in it up close, feeling the energy, going down rabbit holes. And then in retrospect, after you've already started experimenting, that's when and how you learn what you really want. Once you can see how it feels, once you put the hat on, once you've tried the hat on already. Attach to and fall in love with the process that will get you to your goal without focusing on the goal itself. So if your goal is to get in shape, fall in love with the process of moving your body and turn that into the goal, enjoying moving your body more than, a number on a scale. Goals are more useful for setting a direction than they are for getting to the actual achievement. If you set them and you work towards them, you are giving yourself the freedom to discard them or change them when necessary instead of making your goal this holy grail. So just set a direction. Um, the problem with goals is that their success fail, right? You either reach the goal or you don't. It's very success fail, and that doesn't really work very well for empaths. The success fail energy doesn't really work very well for us. Habits work a lot better. Goals have a finish line, but habits are more focused on the trajectory. So if you turn your goals into habits, then you can detach from the outcome. It removes the win versus fail energy. And if you focus on just getting 1% better each day or 1% better each week, if you just set the direction and forget about the end goal, as long as you're living the habits that will eventually get you there, as long as you're on the right heading, you can release a lot of the pressure around those achievements. You can't get there now and you can't get there fast, but you can get there in the future by adjusting your heading. So the right heading puts you on the timeline where you've already achieved that goal in the future. So you want to think about stepping into the energy of you've already achieved this goal in the future that already exists because you're on the heading that puts you there. I'm getting a little bit esoteric here, but hopefully that makes sense. If you're on the right heading, you've already achieved the goal on a future timeline. Okay. So, um, so think about, instead of getting a goal done fast and now, thinking about doing it in a slow, boring, but consistent way, being on the right heading. Um, it's like growing a tree, right? It's slow and it takes a long time, but once it's here, it's it's big and it's immovable and it's not immortal, but close enough. So um the slower you go, the more likely it is to last. Okay, the more likely it is for that habit to last. Um, Environmental factors also affect our goals. So, if you want to lose weight, hide the candy. If you want to write, keep a journal nearby. Think about environmental triggers, how you can use your environment um, to set you up for success. And think about what's a marathon versus what's a sprint. What do you want to and need to get done quickly, versus what deserves more time and patience and what deserves all the time to grow that it needs, right? Um, and what is less important, what is less permanent, what is less immortal, that you can be less perfectionistic with and kind of rush. But you cannot sprint a marathon, and that's what a lot of us are trying to do. So you have to choose between which projects are a marathon, and which projects are a sprint. A supportive environment is really important. Um, Having people who support you, or not talking about your goals to people who don't support you or make you doubt yourself. And then a lot of people who have learned helplessness or who are stuck in the lower energy fields, might not even have goals, might not even know what their goals are. Or there might be people who are over focused on one goal and neglecting other parts of their life. So I'm going to go through a couple of pillars, different pillars, and just think about, are there areas that aren't getting attention that should be getting attention? Use it as inspiration if you don't have goals to start thinking about the things that you want. So, one of the pillars is your home environment. One is your identity. Are you who you want to be? Are you living in alignment with your true self? Another pillar is, do you fully feel your emotions? Are you happy? Do you allow yourself to feel grief and anger and shame and vulnerability? Um, are you fully alive, and embodied? Another pillar is wealth and belongings. You're allowed to want money. You're allowed to want belongings. Another one is love. This can be self love. This can be romantic love. Another pillar is recreation, adventure, play, creativity. If you like to travel, that's where this would go. Another one is work. Is your work fulfilling? Are you happy with your job? Do you want to be doing something else? Another pillar is your health, your physical vessel. Um, and another one is mental stimulation, study, learning. Another pillar is spirituality. Another pillar is community, friendship, um, social activities. And then another one is your family life. And so you don't have to give attention to all of these things. If you're not interested in being spiritual, that's okay. If you're a lone wolf who doesn't want any family or community, that's okay. But these are just ideas to get you started. And so your homework is to think about, what goals have you not started, and who are you waiting for permission or recognition from? And then think about if you actually need that recognition and permission, or how can you get it, especially if the real person that you need permission from is yourself. That's everything I have for today, everybody. Thanks for listening. If you want coaching or more content, check out my website. The links are in the description. Bye, everybody.